Awesome. Hello, hello, hello. Just giving it around 30 more seconds for people to log on, settle in to our very last LinkedIn Live of the recruiting season, our very last event of the spring, which is wild. We're almost at the end of April, but it's just after the 12 o'clock hour, noon on Eastern time in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where I am joining you live from MIT Sloan. My name is Chrissy Delore. I'm the Associate Director of Marketing and Recruiting on the Executive Degree Programs team. Welcome to our very last LinkedIn Live event for the MIT Executive MBA. We will be chatting with a current student who's about to graduate. We'll bring her on in just a little bit, but just a reminder that this event is for prospective students. So our discussion will be tailored to those who are interested in applying to the MIT EMBA and want to learn more about how to achieve support in pursuing an MBA degree from those at home and also at work. And also just a reminder, if you've never joined us before, or maybe a reminder if you have, don't forget to drop questions that you might have for either us or our student into the chat. We will get to as many as we can before our time is up. So just wanted to make sure I said that right at the top of our time together. So like we always do at the start of each of our events, we will begin with a brief overview of our program. The MIT Executive MBA is a 20-month program that meets over 26 weekends. It's really important to note that this is an in-person program. We meet on campus at MIT Sloan, where I am right now, right in Cambridge, Mass, right in Kendall Square. Our class weekends are full days on campus Fridays and Saturdays, and you'll come to campus for class every 2 to 3 weekends. And in fact, this is actually a class weekend this weekend. So we'll be welcoming back our 25s and our 26s tomorrow morning, bright and early before class. There are also 4 one-week-long modules spread strategically across the 20 months that you're in the program, including the first week and the last full weeks of the program. So a nice way to really bookend your time here with us. And it's really important to remember and to note that upon graduating, you do receive the same exact MBA degree as our 2-year traditional MBA program and also our 1-year Sloan Fellows MBA program. The course requirements and hours are the same for those students across all of the MBA programs at Sloan, so you still are getting that MBA degree, right? It's just that the programs are set up a little bit differently with your time here. Now, our MIT EMBA students are taught by senior faculty at MIT Sloan. They are world-class researchers, industry experts, distinguished leaders, Nobel laureates. Our faculty really, truly enjoy teaching EMBA students because they see them as peers, right? If you are joining us and whether or not you've already applied, maybe you're thinking about applying to a future cohort, you're hopefully, in that point in your career where you've established yourself over the last decade plus, and our faculty really see you as peers. And so because of that, one of the requirements of the program is that you are employed. That is a requirement for admission. And it's because we really want to make sure that you are taking everything that you're learning during your class weekends, during your module weeks, and using that action learning on all the frameworks that you're doing through action learning, and you're applying it to your roles come Monday. And so now that we've gone over some really high-level basic details of the program, let's get some insights from someone who's about to wrap up her 20 months. And for this, there's no one better to chat with than Masooma Athar, EMBA 25. Hey, Masooma.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well today. Excited to be here.
Excited that you're here. Thank you for joining us. So just another quick reminder for everyone at home and tuning in live, please don't forget to drop in your questions into the chat. We will get to as many as we can. And so as we are starting to, warm up a little bit, Masooma, why don't you take a beat to introduce yourself, your title, your organization, and I guess too, like what made you, where were you at in your career when you decided that you wanted to, that you were thinking about an MBA?
Sure. So I'm a physician. I'm a geriatrician by profession, which means I specialize in the care of folks above the age of 65. I'm based out of New Hampshire, and I work for an organization called Elliot Health System, and we're a nonprofit health system. I have a part clinical role and a part administrative role. So, I do outpatient office, and I do like nursing home care. But at the same time, I'm a medical director for the geriatrics program in the hospital and in our office, and I'm a medical director of a nursing home. I also work on the operating board for our health system for ambulatory outpatient care. So I have lots of roles, a little bit of ADHD, so it's helped me keep a lot of
You need an outlet, right? For that. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So I was basically, I've been doing this administrative role for a few years, quite a few years now. And I reached a stage when I was on the operating board, and I was sitting through these meetings, and there was like these discussions happening about stuff. And, I felt like I did not know what was going on. It's very hard for me, not to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like it was hard during the pandemic because we didn't know how to treat our patients. And the same thing, I'm sitting in the boardroom and I'm like, I don't know this stuff. And so I felt like I really needed to expand my knowledge in that area. And that's how I ended up here. But it's a long story how I got here. It wasn't like sitting there in the boardroom having a instant idea that, oh, I need to do an EMBA.
Like aha moment, right?
No aha moment there. And so so that's how I decided to get into an MBA program.
Yeah, and so what about the MIT EMBA stood out to you? Assuming that you did a little bit of research, why did you end up applying and interviewing here?
So, a little bit of a backstory. I had, pre-pandemic, I had thought about doing my master's. And, a lot of people were like, oh, do it in health administration because that's going to help you get, ahead in your career, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And the pandemic was tough, as it was for most people. And so, like, I was feeling very, like, burnt out. Mm-hmm. People may think, oh, what an idiot. If she's burnt out, why does she want more work on her hands? But basically, I thought to myself, I want to do something that'll obviously perk my interest, but at the same time, I want to stimulate my mind. Mm-hmm. My brother has actually done an executive MBA, and he was like pushing me. He's like, oh, you need to do an executive MBA. So I started looking at the programs, and I wanted to obviously apply to the top programs, and MIT was one of them. And, you grow up hearing about MIT, and who doesn't want to go to MIT, right? So I looked at the different programs, and, certainly everywhere I had to travel, as I had to travel to, Boston or Cambridge. And even though it's not that long of a trip as some of my classmates take, it's still, moving to Cambridge for the weekend, staying there, and then coming back. But MIT had so much to offer. Like, I attended the interviews, I spoke to some of the people there, and I just loved the environment. Like, I just felt like it was, I felt like I would fit in very well because there were people there that I felt like were like me and were going through the challenges that I was going through. So that was one aspect. And of course, I'd heard so much about the entrepreneurial environment that MIT offers. So there was a lot of different factors, but these were like the main few and of course, MIT.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, part of my role also too is I'm also an interviewer. I sit on the admissions committee, and something that comes up often in discussion is how, of course, a lot of people apply here, but people apply to other programs too. But I do feel like, the people that end up here, it is like a special group of self-selecting individuals, to your point, is, why would you decide to add on schoolwork on top of whatever's happening at home, whatever's happening, in your day job? But I guess too, like, how did you think about this when you were having conversations with your employer, with anyone else in your family? How did you get that buy-in, that support from your people, right? Knowing that you would have to sacrifice a little bit, right, for the 20 months to be able to add everything into your schedule.
Yeah, so I mean, I did have conversations with my family, and honestly, it kind of helped that my brother had gone through an EMBA program, so he knew how intense it can be, and so he was kind of like, really there to support me through it. But even with that, like, it's it's not easy, like when someone else is going through that, right? So I had to really have honest conversations with my family, my friends. I told them I will see you in May 2025, and
We're here. We're almost here.
I
So,
set the expectations right in the beginning. I said we need to like outsource as much of the house chores as we can.
Mhm.
Um, and then at work, I talked to my chief medical officer. I report to her directly, and she was very supportive. And she was like, "Yeah, go for it." And it's not easy because you're still doing your full-time job. So
Mhm.
there are expectations that people have from you. I've had patients who've been like, "Well, we don't see you anymore." Whereas previously I was like more frequently around the office. Now there are people who are like helping out at work, and like patients are like, well, why isn't she here? Or I have like nursing staff, they'll be like, oh, it was a challenge, you weren't here. And I feel guilty at times, I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
do have that guilt, like, oh, I wish I could spend more time in the office as well. But at the same time, I know that what I'm doing is going to help somebody somewhere at some point. So I'm holding on to that guilt, but I keep telling myself, it's almost done. Once I'm done with it, I can get back into things, and
Mhm.
guilt is always there, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the one thing I always remind people who are thinking about this, that it's the program, like any program, right, that you would do, honestly, anything that you would choose to do in your life, it is an investment, right, of not just money, but time too, and energy. And I think what is just super helpful is that, every time, like before the application opens, we already have the schedules written out. So, if you are at home and are unsure of, timing, you can take a look and see the class weekends already for the upcoming cohort. So the class of 2027. You already know what weekends you're going to be traveling, right? You already have your module week, so you can, get that time off, get that approval to, know that you will be away and out of pocket for a little bit. But at the end of the day, 20 months, like, it's a finite time
Mhm.
period, and so, you end up like the ROI on the end of your time here, I think is so valuable. And like, it's 20 months in the program, but everything that you're taking away out of it is really for like a lifetime. Um
That's actually really great that you brought that up, because having that schedule really helped. Like, I gave copies to my family and my office saying, these are the days that I'm not going to be here, be prepared. I actually, like, because I knew in advance what days I'll be gone,
Mhm.
I blocked off my schedule for those days at work, so they were aware that, what, she's not going to be here these days or that week. So it really helped that, having that preparation in advance, knowing where, what to anticipate in the future.
Yeah. The other thing too that I like to remind people, you might be the one getting the degree, but there are also people that are benefiting from this, right? Like, one of the reasons why we want you to be employed is because we want the impact that you are making on your organization to be bigger than yourself, right? And so, and this is also another opportunity for other people to step in, fill in the gaps, step into your shoes, kind of like pick up the slack a little, not maybe not the slack, right? But like pick up a little bit of the work that you've been
Yeah.
carrying. And so, while you are elevating yourself in your career, there are going to be people on your team, I'm sure, that have been able to like fill in for you and support you and support you in that way, which I think is really, really awesome.
And it's funny because my brother, he
Uh-huh.
cooks for me. So he's been cooking since November 2023. And I told him recently, and I was like, oh, I feel so guilty that you're doing all this work. He's like, oh, don't worry. Starting June, I am hands off. He's like, it's all you. Don't worry. I'm gonna get my my rest. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Look forward to it.
We had a great question come into the chat. Can you talk about the parts of the program that support entrepreneurs, people that want to start businesses? You mentioned that entrepreneurial spirit that MIT Sloan definitely for sure has. And so can you talk a little bit about the resources that you or classmates might have tapped into?
Oh, absolutely. And, I'll be honest, when I started the program, I had investments in some businesses and I thought, okay, well, I'll get some experience on how to deal with those. I did not anticipate that you get fed that information on entrepreneurship. It is like laid out for you. Like, there are so many resources available. We have a Martin Trust Center that has like an amazing, program set up. They have different like accelerator programs that you have access to. The IHQ, you have something called Idea Week, which is what stimulated my interest in my current startups. Yeah. And it was like Idea Week was like, earlier on in 2024, and you basically have to come up with an idea and you have to work with team members from your cohort and come up with a business plan. And that actually sparked my interest in one of the startups I'm working on. It's a medical device startup, and I have team members from my class that are on my team, on my like co-founder group, and we are like trying to work through that. I've also started a modest wear e-commerce platform with a classmate of mine, and throughout the program that we've had, so it's called MDSD. If you guys want to go look it up. What we've done is like throughout the program, we've had support from our professors as well. So like one of the professors, for example, our marketing professor, she is amazing. Catherine Tucker, she's been like so supportive. Like even during our class, we talked to her about the project. We had a final project due, and we used the MDSD as a our homework assignment, and she gave us advice throughout like the course. And then even after we were done, we reached out to her and we said, hey, is it all right if we set up time with you and, like just brainstorm with you? And she made time for us. We actually met with her on Zoom, like way after classes had ended, our course had ended, we gotten our grades, and she was like very accessible that way. The other thing I love about the MIT ecosystem is that you could send an email to a random person in the MIT ecosystem, may it be at Sloan or outside of Sloan. And like people are so willing to help you. Like for me, for example, like I've reached out to a couple of professors, in different like departments, and I've had like, very positive responses. I also applied for the MIT Sandbox, so I'm in the Sandbox program.
Awesome.
And like, oh my God, the mentors are amazing. So I've gotten a lot of advice from them. They've hooked us up to more people in the greater Boston area help us with our project. And then like, you have like so many resources. We've had like other EMBAs that we've talked to about our program. So it's not just MIT itself. Like you will have someone in your class who is an expert at something that you would need. And so, the network itself is like amazing to tap into. And it's not just your current classmates or cohort, it's your alumni. So, I've had discussions with other alumni as well about like, questions I've had about my startups, etc. So the networking is also huge.
Yeah, it's huge. First of all, like thanks for talking about the faculty piece, right? I think what's really incredible is that our faculty really are so invested on like many levels, right? But again, they see you all as people that are in the weeds, in your organizations, creating new things. But you're living the things that they're talking about. I forgot who I was speaking to about this, but I feel like they were saying how someone used, an example like in like a future in like another class that they talked about, right? And just a little plug for Catherine. She is our faculty director also for the program, and so she's just loves to be involved. And then with the cohort, right? And not just your cohort, to your point, like you have the alumni, you also have the class that comes, right before you. So you share that time together. And then you have the incoming class when you turn into second years, right after your first year. And, that diversity of people is so critical. And we mean diversity across the board, right? Across industry, across specialty, across years of work experience, not just, gender, not just like, where people are traveling in from. Because to your point, there are so many things that you can learn from other people, but we want you to, and that's really why we take such a critical lens when we're putting together the cohort. Because we really want to make sure that you have the opportunity to learn from and meet with people that you probably wouldn't ever have met in your life, right? Like, and you can all, learn from each other. I think one of the things that strikes me in interviews is how lots of problems that I think people are trying to figure out, like in the world and organizations, are similar, but the packaging just looks a little bit different. But a lot of the core things are the same. So I think
Oh my
it's
God, that's all right.
yeah, yeah. We got a great question from Ravathi in the chat. Can you talk about how the MIT EMBA benefits current clinical practitioners in healthcare who are looking to transition into more business-oriented, non-clinical areas of healthcare?
Yeah, of course. So as a physician, I'm doing an e-commerce platform, and you're like, whoa, that's like a completely like out of clinical medicine area. And like one of the things is that you have access to your cohort, and you've got Chrissy, you mentioned there are all these people from different industries who are going through the same thing that you're going through, which is like amazing because you now have people you can talk about stuff that you probably cannot talk about at work. Your family, because they won't they won't really understand what you're going through at work. And so you have like a cohort of people that are from different industries, and when you start talking to them and you start networking with them, ideas come up, you have conversations, you meet with people who ask you your advice for whatever reason, like your advice maybe. And then I've, like, for instance, the MDST market, how it came about was that my co-founder is my is my friend in the cohort, and he and I were in the same study group. So random conversation, and he was like, "Oh, I've always been interested in fashion, and I've noticed how it's a challenge for women who want to wear modest clothing, that they're not able to find stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! Like, I know people who have that challenge." And he's like, "Oh, do you want to work with me on it?" And I was like, "Absolutely!" And that's where it all started. So like you have these conversations. The other thing is that there are a lot of entrepreneur like electives that are available. So you'll have like summer, fall, spring electives. You have the opportunity to take additional classes if you want. You make connections through those. So, you are able to transition because you have so many people from different industries available to you, and you're able to network. And that's like one of the key things I tell everybody, that networking is like key here, because yes, you learn a lot from the syllabus, and there's a lot of knowledge out there. You're being fire hosed with everything that MIT has to offer, but at the same time the networking is key. I'll tell you honestly, there are times where I'm like there over the weekend, and I am like sleepy, I want to go to bed, it's 10:30, I am like done, but I make an effort to go out and like sit down and talk to my classmates, because not just for the networking, but because it's such an amazing group. And like, I know this is not a part of the question, but you end up making lifelong friends there. So
yeah,
these are your people that are going to help you like change your industry if that's what you want, and they can connect you with people. So I've had like classmates connect me with other folks that they felt might be helpful for me. So
thank you for sharing that. I think, that is one of the, for sure, standouts about our community, is that it is so community driven, right? Like we all truly do care about each other. Everyone is just as invested in, each other, because, what's that saying? all tides rise, or I forget like what the exact saying is, right? But I think the people that you surround yourself with can be really crucial and critical to your own self-development. And, sometimes you just don't know what'll happen until you just have a random conversation like you did with your co-founder. And I think that is one of the, again, one of like the very often talked about, but like not one of like the hard, like, skills that you're going to learn, or things that you're going to take away. And another piece of advice is always to just really take advantage of the time you have here. And not to say, again, like not to say that the classwork isn't important and that you like shouldn't, do your readings, but I think that people focus is so important. And again, that's really why, this is, you are in person with each other, because I think your relationships are going to, develop differently in person versus, if this was like a completely virtual program too. And actually, speaking of community, another great question in the chat from Olivia. Hey, Olivia, how do you plan to stay engaged with your classmates and the MIT community post-graduation? That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a good question. And since I will be graduating May, I've been thinking about this a lot. It's the effort you put in, right? I mean, nobody's going to come to you unless, of course, like they're worried about you that you're like missing. But it's how much effort you put into like staying, connected with your cohort and your alumni network. So, there are different alumni programs that happen where they're invited, especially during January electives, and like you get to meet them, you get to like ask about their experiences post graduation, and like you make those connections as well. And so like for instance, like the 24s that graduated the year before that, we're still in touch with them. Like they're the folks that we're all in a WhatsApp group, where we like different conversation, mostly on our WhatsApp group. It's like happy birthday messages, but like it's beyond that as well. So you have like your WhatsApp messages, you have like these events that keep happening at MIT post-graduation as well, where you get invited. You have the January electives where you get invited. So I forget, is that 5 years, Chrissy, after graduation?
For electives, you can come back, I think, immediately after.
Yeah. So that like, you have the opportunity to come back and like interact with folks. But and also there's like a lot of ways to stay engaged as well. Like I've had like classmates who want to be part of like giving advice to other folks out of, say, for example, the Martin Trust Center, because they have the expertise and they want to do that. So like there's different opportunities for you to be like have access to the alumni network in the community, but you have to make that effort while you're in the program to make sure you keep those connections afterwards.
Yeah, that's such a good point, right? It's you get out what you put in. And just to add on there, another great way, like I'll say selfishly, like we appreciate any alum who comes back to help with either an on-campus event, if we're traveling for the program, sitting on a panel, doing virtual events like this one, right? Whether it's over LinkedIn Live, any one of our Zoom webinars, any of the coffee chats that we do, really any ways where, we can have our alum also, one, stay plugged in, but also two, get a chance to meet, the people that are interested in joining the cohort. Because at the end of the day, like this is all, everyone who comes in after you is going to be part of your community, right? And so we so appreciate that that extra lens, right, that you all can bring to the table when you're meeting people. And I think like the other piece too, just specifically on January executive electives, we do have reunions that happen, the weekend after commencement. And so our MIT's commencement is usually the week of Memorial Day weekend, like right after that Monday, Memorial Day. And while we do have those in the summer, our electives week also serves as like a informal, reunion type environment where you have people coming back to take classes, right? And you might be able to, finally get into an elective that was, full when you were a student, or maybe you have the opportunity to learn, to take an entirely new class, right? Like a new elective that's offered. And I will say too, like when it comes to our module weeks, I'm thinking of, like our Go Lab or Global Labs or something like Idea Week. We do have our alums come back, right, and help with those efforts too. So again, like the possibilities, I think, to stay engaged is really just it can go on forever, forever. But to your point, like how do you making sure that you make that time, right?
Yeah, plus your own cohort. So, for example, as a class, some of us traveled to Portugal in October, and now we've decided we're going to meet twice a year. Once is going to be in January electives, and
Uh-huh.
one is going to be a group vacation that everybody's going to take together. People brought their families. So the great thing was that not only are you like making lifelong friends with folks in your cohort, you're
Mhm.
also making friends with their like spouses or family members, and it was such an amazing experience. Like we're also excited. Folks that did not go in October are like, oh yeah, for sure, we missed out, we're going to go when you guys plan the next one. So we haven't decided what month we're going. We're still thinking maybe October. So
Mhm.
class vacation.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think I was in New York for an info session in the fall, and one of our 24s had just gotten married, and she had like 20 people like at her wedding. And
Right.
it's so nice. And I think too, like one of my favorite stories this was my very first family weekend. And so I'll also add too that we as a program team, like we know that there are other people in your life that help make like you being able to be here happen. So in November, we always have significant others weekend for a partner or like, a friend, as long as they're over 21, right? Because all the events are 21 plus. In April, we do Bosses Day, where, your boss, maybe a co-founder, if you have your own startup, they're invited back to campus. And then in July, we always have family weekend where your entire family is invited to come back to campus. And it's one of my favorite weekends to like work at, just to be around. We turn part of like the outside of on campus into like a little carnival where there are games that you can do, and like just a bunch of fun things. And I remember working at the swag table. It was my very very first family weekend that I staffed, like right after I had started working here. And someone came up to the table, like one of the students, one of the 23s, and she is like, I don't know what you all do to, get everyone, so involved and together, but my mom now has more friends than I do in this cohort because she's made so many friends, like doing like the duck tour, doing like the Boston food tours. So we want your families to also be engaged with each other, because again, it just goes back to that idea of community, right? Where we are like stronger together. And I think, just the knowing that everyone's also invested in each other's, not just like the you here, it's the you outside of these walls that has to be able to show up in order for you to come here too.
Oh
So
yeah, and I feel like I'm like a few of my classmates, their spouses. I love them. Like when we are like hanging out, like we're like,
yeah,
oh, are they coming? To the dinner. Like make sure
yeah,
you bring them. And so
that's
it's
funny.
it's it's great. Like I love the feeling of that family
Yeah.
community that we have going there. So
Yeah, and I think as this is something that I have just, been reflecting on as I get older, right? And it's hard. It's harder to make friends, right? As an adult, you get into your routines, and you have like your workplaces, right? But I think this program can kind of serve as like that third space. You all are coming here for a purpose. I like to say, like, I don't know why you're here, but I want you to know why you're here. And so, that idea of bringing mission-driven individuals here, but I think because everyone is really thinking about that, the mission of MIT Sloan is top of mind. I think that's what makes everything even more, colorful. And we just got another question in the chat, asking what's been your favorite course in the program and why? And then part two, what are some examples of how you've applied what you learned in the program to your job?
That's a very difficult question because I have so many favorite subjects now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I went into medicine because I hated math. Okay, I hated math, and I was
Yeah.
like, no way, I want to do anything that entails math. And like when I joined the program, the first thing I thought was, oh crap, like how am I going to do the math portions of this?
Mhm.
Like I have like these amazing classmates who are like experts in their fields, and like they were there to help me through that process, and I actually loved and enjoyed like econ and finance and like
So many
accounting.
people say this. Yeah, so many people say finance and
Right?
accounting is their
Oh
favorite
my,
subject. It's hilarious.
I mean, the professors are amazing too. I loved OP. I love marketing. I loved
Mhm.
leading organizations. We're doing negotiations right now. Oh my God, I loved it. The funniest is we were traveling for our Go Lab and
Mhm.
we went to Asia and we went to Singapore. Then a friend of mine and we decided to go to Thailand. She's from the program.
Mhm.
And we were standing in the shop and bargaining, and then we left and like a bunch of nerds were like talking about how the negotiation went and what we learned from the class. And it was like, I mean that, of course that's like outside of work, but like at work as well. Like I come back from a weekend class and I walk into work and then I address something and then I turn around and I'm like, oh wait, I used what I learned in this process. There are times when I'm sitting in a discussion and it'll come naturally. Like
Mhm.
your response comes in naturally. I remember I was giving somebody feedback and I walked away and I'm like, oh man, that was awesome. Like, where did I get that from? And I was like, oh, that's right. I took a class where they teach you how to like have these conversations. And I mean, it helps. It really helps. Even if you're not consciously thinking of it,
Mhm.
subconsciously helps. So like operations management, you've got like your marketing class, you've got like so many different things that like will help you. I took a lot of entrepreneur courses, so those have definitely helped with my startups.
Yep.
I took like leadership courses. I took a course called Discovering Your Leadership Signature. Oh my God, I
Mm,
love that
that's a good
course.
course.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it really makes you look inside yourself as a leader. And so that really helped. Plus, MIT offers you like sessions with a coach. So I
Mhm.
would probably recommend if you're joining the program, do sign up for those, even if you had a coach in the past. And like the coach has helped a lot as well. So like, I sit down and I like tell her, okay, so this is what I'm going through. How would you suggest I address this? And
Mhm.
like she really helps me, guide how to go about like addressing a certain thing. And it's not like she's telling me, she's
Right.
making me like think about it as well. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of like I feel like I'm the person that started this program in 2023. Not the same person. I've noticed the change, even though I'm like thinking, like, what did I learn? Like,
Right.
I can't like pinpoint
How do you
exactly.
quantify all of that? And
Yeah.
like that's hard. But I think I just want to go back to what you said because we're coming up on time, but can you like get a little bit deeper on like the person that you were when you applied in 2023 is different from the person you are now? Like what makes you say that? Like what in what ways you find yourself just, being a different or more evolved Masooma post MBA degree Masooma, like where are you now compared to where you were 2 years ago?
So honestly, I thought 2023, I know myself. I
Mm,
know what I do. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at. And literally, I was, comfortable with myself, except for, of course, the part where I thought, oh, I need to get, some sort of a business degree so I can like fill in those gaps. I thought I knew myself.
mm,
And then over the course of the program, I feel like my mind has expanded a little bit. And there are things that I thought I knew, and not by like something to do with like finance or like marketing, not educational stuff, but
mhm.
like stuff about myself, like that I thought I knew. That has changed. My mind is expanded. My family would tease me like, oh, especially my brother, when I was joining the program, I was like, oh, I'll probably go into a program that has more healthcare focus, and he said to me, no, you need to go into a program where you're not surrounded by healthcare workers, because that's all you do
Said
the
that.
rest of your
Right.
time,
Yeah.
right? So you meet all these people from different industries and you realize, oh my God, I was living in a fishbowl. And like
Mm.
now it's like you're getting exposed to all these people and you're realizing there's a life outside of your field. There's a life outside of your little bubble. And so I feel I've like changed a lot. And I see that in myself, like at work, I see that at home, I see that in my interactions. And so, like, if you ask me, pinpoint one thing that's changed about you,
Mhm.
it's very hard to say because I feel like I'm a different person now. I'm probably still in a bigger fishbowl
Yeah.
than I was before.
Yeah.
The fishbowl is expanded,
Mhm.
but it's still like, it's very eye opening how having those different experiences opens their mind up to a lot of things. I have folks that reach out to me and ask me questions, and I'm answering those questions. I'm like, oh my God, like 3 years ago, I had no idea what this stuff
Huh?
would be. So, yeah, it makes a huge difference.
That's incredible. And yeah, to your point, like you've dropped yourself into like a different fishbowl, but like after this, like what's next? And I'll say like, sitting on the program team, like we all see it, right? Like we see it anytime we have alum come back with like, new titles, new positions, their roles have expanded, how they're using the frameworks that they've learned however many years ago. Like it's still, they're still using the same frameworks, but, I think they're able to apply it in a different way because like they themselves have continued to elevate. And so I think that's one of my favorite parts, of working here is being able to see how you all, grow, not just while you're on campus, right, and in the program, but, what happens after. And I, that's really why we love when people can like, stay in touch so we can, continue to see like what happened, to all of you like afterwards, because we all want you to continue to flourish, right, beyond like the time here. And as we wrap, as you're thinking about, as the last 20 months, as you're thinking about, like what's next for you, what's one piece of advice you want to leave for people who, are on this call that are thinking about applying, that have maybe already applied, and whether or not it's for this cohort or somewhere in the future, what's one thing that you want to leave them with today?
Just do it. It's the best decision you could make for yourself. Honestly, I feel like, okay, I've probably made some good decisions in the past, but this was one of the best decisions I ever made. And it wasn't easy. Like, it
Mm.
was not an easy journey. Like, I'm not going to make it all, like roses and rainbows. It was not easy. There were times where I was sitting there and thinking, "Oh my God, what have I done to myself?" But like you have your classmates and you're like, you can talk to each other and everybody's feeling that way at that same time, so it kind of helps, and then you kind of just help each other through that process.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like just do it because it's going to be tough, but nothing good is easy. And you will thank yourself for putting that investment in yourself,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, this is an investment in yourself. Your
Exactly.
family will thank you as well because eventually they may not thank you during the program, but they'll thank you eventually when you are like this evolved person.
Mhm.
Maybe not happen for everybody, but you do change during the program. It does, like, I feel like a lot of us have changed. We were actually having a discussion last weekend. Some of us are sitting down and we were like, oh, but like, have you noticed like everybody's changed in the program, like
Yeah.
from when we started? And like, it's the best decision you can make for yourself. Do it. Just
Yeah.
just hit the bullet and do it.
Investment in yourself, that is, I think that's, like the right lens, the right attitude. And I think it's, and I'll just say, like, as women, like it can be really easy to invest in other people, invest in your loved ones around you. I had an interview with someone in the last round that we just wrapped, and I asked her why, and she was like, "You know what? Like, it's my time, right? It's my time to like take time out for myself and advance for me because I want to do it, right? And this is my gift to myself." And so I truly believe that we don't ever ask anyone to say to say this, right? When they come over here and talk about their experience, but the fact that you all do is I think such a testament to what you all have been able to get out of the program. And so, Masooma, thank you so much for joining everyone today. And I will see you on campus tomorrow and Saturday since I'm working this past
Yeah.
weekend. So I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chrissy. This was fun.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
See
Bye,
you soon.
everybody. Good luck.
Thanks again, Masooma. So we've talked about, like what your time in the MIT EMBA can potentially look like should you apply, right, for either the class of 2027 or a future cohort. And through Masooma's experiences, right, we hope that you yourself can see, being a part of a community like this, a community of mission-driven individuals who, want to really tap into that developed, and principled part of their leadership, right? And so we have one more deadline left. That's coming up on May 8th. You'll also note in that third column, that's the decision by deadline. So that is a very last day that you will definitely get a decision by the end of that date. But also just a note that we do, as long as there are spots open in the class still to admit, we do still take applications up until and review applications up until June 1st. Just a big note that all of our deadlines from here on and forever are at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So for anyone that's not outside of our time, that is outside of our time zone, something to note. Also, too, we hope that you, check out our website to see recordings of past virtual events. Like I said at the top of the hour, this is our final event of the year. So we've done a number of LinkedIn Lives with students and alum that you can check out. We have a bunch of Zoom webinars from this past year that are up on our website as well. So please check that out. We hope that we will see your application soon. We hope that we get a chance to meet you in the future. And thank you so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of this month. And, congrats to Masooma and the class of 2025. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.